Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Matthew Stoner.
I'm Patrick Nisley.
I'm David Howe.
And I'm JP Bremer.
Hey, very special guest JP Bremer joining us at Abbey Road Studios today. How you doing, JP?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be on the pod. I normally just get the text about Nintendo, so I'm looking forward to Talk Tendo. Let's do it.
Talk Tendo. That's what we should have called the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Talk Tendo.
Nobody steal that.
Hey, welcome
Run
to
us out of
Talk
business.
Tendo, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet.
This is episode 35, everybody. So this podcast is now old enough to be president.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Vote. That was the one thing I came up with before this podcast that I knew I wanted to say.
Please vote, everyone, and register to vote.
Vote for Reggie for president.
JP is here to talk Nintendo's entries into the casual market. We'll talk about casual games. And, of course, in the news, we'll be discussing some of the Pokemon stuff that's late and breaking. Some Little Town Hero things, Monkey Ball, Brain Age, a new stylus, Mario Kart coming out, mobile game, and some other things.
Yeah. Quick shout out to Stephen R. Flores on YouTube, who gave us a comment, said they just discovered the podcast and they've been going back and listening to our previous episodes. So, welcome, Stephen. Thanks for listening.
Steven said he's in San Marcos.
Yeah,
too.
we record in Austin, and San Marcos is very nearby. So, yeah, we need to have more meetups.
Yeah,
and Steven, when we do, you should come up and hang out.
Yeah, you should come to a Switch Headz meetup. Also, Steven, you should join the Switch Headz Facebook group for more information about meetups, which unfortunately, due to a meme that I tried to propagate on the Facebook group, I did name it Goose Heads, which I thought I could just change the name back after a day. You got to keep that name for 28 days. So if you're looking for us on Facebook, make sure you search for Goose Heads.
Well, it still is /Switch Headz if you go directly facebook.com/Switch Headz.
But nobody uses URLs anymore.
If you use the URL, but yeah, if you're searching, I guess be aware.
Yeah.
Goose Heads, all caps with a Z at the end, baby.
Yeah. Search for Goose Heads. That's GOOSEHEADZ.
Tons of spicy geese memes on there right now, so it's definitely worth checking out while the iron's hot.
So before we talk about any other news, because this is the most important one, Little Town Hero got a new trailer that
You're
showed off
looking at me, Patrick.
very little to next to nothing.
It was the 30-second trailer, right?
It was very short.
Yeah.
Did you watch this one, Matthew?
Yeah, David and I just watched it.
Yeah.
We casted it on the television, and it looks fine.
Yeah, it looks like you fight with ideas still. Yeah. And Toby Fox's name was on screen pretty much the whole trailer.
The music sounds good.
Yeah, music sounds great. There's a lot of UI, and I don't know what it's for.
You know what the UI reminds me of? When you have tea time in Fire Emblem, when like those little bubbles pop up for conversations. That's what the idea is.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
So if you're into tea, check out Little Town Hero.
Another Game Freak news, Pokemon is doing some weird 24-hour quote-unquote live camera on October 4th of some forest in the Galar region where you can see Pokemon in their natural element. So check that out if that excites you.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
I saw like headlines about this, but I didn't really look into it. So it's like basically like a live feed from an area in the game.
Yeah.
Like a nature camera.
Yeah, it's like a nature camera.
That's kind of cute.
It is kind of cute.
I didn't realize that.
But there's some other Pokemon news, y'all, that just came out recently, right? I don't know much about it.
Yeah, let's just hit the top bits.
The
top bits. Game Informer has a cover article about Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. There's tons of different articles, but the big news is 18 gyms.
That's a fuck ton of gyms.
That's one for each type. Are there 18 types?
Oh, okay. I guess that's 10 more than usual, right? There's usually 8 gyms in the game. Yeah. So that's
more gyms means more gyms.
But more gyms means more bodybuilding dragons.
Yeah. You can turn autosave on or off. Some other news is National Pokedex will return in the future.
Ooh. I don't know if that means to this game.
Yeah, what is that?
Or maybe it just means to the. Or what I read it was as Pokemon from the National Dex will be returning at some point in the future. So I think it's kind of
like every Pokemon will come back at some point in some future game.
I
maybe.
guess. Yeah. I don't know. We're kind of just finding this news out, so it might not be 100% accurate.
A few more items are max raid battles are going to be the toughest, most challenging encounters, and EXP share is built into the game.
Yeah, that's kind of definitely a little controversial already. I mean, anytime any Pokemon news comes out, like the Pokemon community,
people want change, but they don't want change.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody gets pissed off about something, but like that was definitely something that was controversial about Let's Go. Was that EXP share was turned on all the time. So it's not like the old games where you have to kind of like use certain Pokemon in battles, and it kind of makes the whole game a little bit easier. But I don't know. I'm not a huge grinding person when I play RPGs, so I'm okay with that personally.
Yeah.
Are you going to be playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, Jacob?
I've never been a huge Pokemon guy, so if I do, it'll be my first. And I think it looks pretty. I love the designs.
Yeah,
the designs look great. I love that new Sirfetch'd that came out. The Polter Geist, his name.
Yeah.
I think they all look really cute, and I'd love to have them in real life, but we'll see if I play it.
Yeah, we're close to that.
You're courting the idea, but you're not bought in.
I'm not bought it. I'm considering.
I'm going to be waiting for some reviews personally before I pre-purchase, but I'm looking forward to it.
So kind of similar to we talked about the other week. Dragon Quest XI developers spoke about how getting Dragon Quest XI S Echoes of an Elusive Age on the Switch was Definitive Edition DX was part of their promise to the late Nintendo president Wada. So kind of like we're talking about with Sakurai. So that was kind of interesting news as Legacy continues.
Yeah. Feels like everybody is kind of haunted by the ghost of Satoru Iwata.
But it's cool that he had his hand in getting all the, the best Smash game and getting this Dragon Quest 11 game on the Switch and all that. And that's kind of, we're hearing about that. I wonder like if there's anything else still out there in the oven that like somebody's going to be like, this was my promise.
Like Ring Fit Adventure was Iwata's final request. I think, Dragon Quest XI S Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition was the first game announced for the Switch. Back before it was the Switch, it was the NX. So this was definitely, this lines up. You know what I mean? This is back when Iwata was still around.
Yeah, it took a real long time.
Yeah. And from what I hear, like, if you're going to be playing Dragon Quest XI, this is the way to play the game. It, like, by far is the best version of the game. And from everything I'm hearing, it's one of the best, if not the best RPG on the Switch. So do Iwata a favor and check this game out.
David, you mentioned you wanted to talk about the Super Nintendo, the SNES controllers, that I guess in at least North America, they have shipped out to people. Is that correct?
That's right. If you're a member of the Nintendo Switch Online subscription service, you have the ability to go on the website and purchase a Super Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online controller, which is basically just a SNES controller without a cable, right? They're $30 for one, which is not a bad deal, but there's really a lot of better options out there, honestly. I think that basically the main reason you're going to be wanting to pick this up is if you want to collect it. It's kind of a collector's item, really.
Nostalgia, if you played a lot on the Super
Nintendo.
Yeah,
but I mean, even then, it's like the 8-bit Duke controllers like are better in pretty much every way. I mean, they have a built-in home button and capture button. They've got the ZL and ZR that aren't in a weird position. They've got motion and rumble and sticks. You know what I mean? So it's like, basically the main thing here is, it's like when you connect it to your Switch, you see the icon of the controller on the Switch. So if that's something
you're
that's
playing
really,
Super Nintendo games with a Super Nintendo controller.
Right. And if you even really want like Nintendo made Super Nintendo controller, what you can actually do, 8-Bit Do has a thing for you there because you can get that like G-Bros adapter and basically plug in the like Super Nintendo Classic controller into that. And that works just as well. That's what I use whenever I play like Mario Maker or anything like that. So there's a lot of options out there. If you're a collector, go for it. But apparently they're hard to find. So
I feel like purists are going to want this. They just want to pretend that they're playing Super Nintendo again.
Right.
This is the way.
Well, if you really want to pretend, you got to solder a cable onto that thing. And then sit really close to the TV.
A couple of game updates. Bloodstained, a Ritual of the Night. The developers there said that they finally gave some information about this long-awaited patch with fixes. They said it's going to come out by the end of November, which is still a little ways off. But apparently, instead of their original saying that they were going to put out a bunch of little fixes, it sounds like maybe one big fix or one major fix is coming then.
They've apparently outsourced, I think, to maybe Way Forward or something to help with the patches. So I think basically, yeah, their workflow just changed. But honestly, I'll believe that November release when I see it. They've been saying that for a while.
And then Doom and Doom 2 got an update. Apparently, they look and sound a little prettier on the Switch. So that's cool. If you have those, go check that out. Or if you were waiting for them to look better.
Yeah. The music is now like slightly faster. That's pretty much the main change. And the Bethesda Net login is less in your face.
They got rid of that.
I mean, it's still there. It's just
an option now.
Yeah, it used to be like anytime you would turn out of sleep mode, like come out of sleep mode, it would be like sign into Bethesda Net. And that doesn't happen anymore. So that's kind of nice.
And then I just kind of thought this was interesting. Damon X Machina is getting some like updates, some little bits of additional content over the next few months. It's kind of interesting to see that game get that support, like online multiplayer, and then a bunch of like little costumes and things, monthly releases for the rest of the year.
Like a co-op mode?
Yeah, I think there's a PvP and there is a co-op as well. I'm not sure if I think the PvP may be already out. I honestly don't know a lot.
I know
about
one
it.
of them is already out.
Yeah, I think that the like playing against other people online may be out, and there may be like co-op mode coming, but I might have that backwards. So don't quote me on that.
Any guys still play this game yet?
No, still haven't. But I've heard that those modes are kind of, whichever one is out is actually pretty good.
There is one of these updates in early November is 3 collaborations with popular franchises adding costumes and arsenals.
Oh.
Pokemon?
So maybe like a Bayonetta themed mech or something like that.
Or Fire Emblem.
Or like a town themed.
A Kirby.
That would be cool. Like a Yoshi and a Kirby mech. That would be. Remember when Bayonetta 2 did that? Like you could dress
like a Mario.
You could dress Bayonetta up as
or like Sexy Fox.
Yeah, Sexy Fox McCloud, or like
you could be Peach and Bowser's big hand would just come punching the monsters. It was great.
That's cool.
Grand Theft Auto 3 was rated in Australia recently, so there's a lot of people speculating that game might be getting ported to the current systems. Do y'all have a lot of love for Grand Theft Auto 3? It was the first, the other ones were top down, and so I really remember when that game came out. That was like a big revolution for that style of game. So I have a lot more memories of 3 than all the other ones that came after it.
I mean, that game was pretty mind-blowing when it came out.
Yeah.
There hadn't really been anything like it at that point.
Right.
Yeah. I remember, for me personally, I think the first time I ever played that was actually in England, because I wasn't allowed to play M-rated games at the time. I was still like pretty young when that game came out. And my cousin, Luke, had it on his PS2, and he would kind of snuck up to his room and played it for a little bit, and it was just like, damn! And I was like, oh man, they're saying damn and shit.
Damn and shit!
Yeah. And I would get in the car with a hooker and just be like, oh, this is so bad. I'm being so bad. So I've got nostalgia for it.
Yeah, I hope this game comes out in a collection, like Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas.
It's
PS2 collection.
It's like a missed opportunity not to bring San Andreas. Like if they brought 3 instead of Vice City or San Andreas, that'd be kind of lame, right?
Yeah. I think Vice City should be coming out now because we're in an 80s renaissance.
Yeah.
With Stranger Things coming out and the new season. All the vaporwave, synthwave, it's all the rage.
I mean, San Andreas is all 90s too, so it's you got to hit all the decades.
Yeah.
Everything old is new again, right? So the Monkey Ball developers on Twitter asked fans if they want a remake of 1 and 2 or a new game, in a poll. So, and it seemed
those weren't the only 2 options.
I guess that's true.
There was also a remake of the Game Boy Advance game, I believe.
Those were the only 2 options people were voting for.
And then the PSP game or whatever. Yeah.
That's true.
How do you feel about developers giving their fan base that much control over what projects should we work on next? I don't know.
I think it's cool in some ways, but I think also unless they really plan to do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially in this case, last time I looked, it was pretty close. You know what I mean? That's a tough call.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think it's better than the alternative, which I've seen a lot of developers say on Twitter where people are like, they're like, where's,
Game X,
like say, for instance, like Onimusha or something. They're like, oh, if you want Onimusha, like we'll port Onimusha whenever like the fans are loud enough. You know what I mean? It's basically like making people beg for ports.
Or
so
saying
at
that,
this,
like,
at least they're like positing it rather than like waiting for people to make a bunch of noise about it. So I kind of like
if you buy
that.
this game, we will release this unrelated game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if this sells well enough, then we'll bring this over.
That, like the EA method.
They don't
basically.
have any relationship.
The EA catch-22 is basically what that is. What do you guys want to? Do you guys want to see a new Monkey Ball game or a remake of 1 and 2?
I've never really played Monkey Ball games,
Me
but
either.
I'm the
Yeah.
kind of person that just wants new games.
Yeah.
If you're going to give me an option,
This is the time of remakes, though, so I mean,
is.
it makes sense of why they're positing this.
Yeah,
And
I personally want a remake of 1 and 2 because I don't trust them to make a good new Monkey Ball game. Like the fact that they went for a Banana Blitz remake before a 1 and 2 remake makes me think that they don't remember what makes a good Monkey Ball game. You know what I mean? Because it's like 1 and 2 were just like way, way better than Banana Blitz. And I think I want them to remake 1 and 2 so they can like remember what made the series good and then like take that into the new game rather than like do what they're doing with Banana Blitz. Cause I think it's just night and day for me. So personally, that's what I'd like to see them do, but I guess that's a little selfish, but I mean, there's no way to really play 1 and 2 now unless you have a GameCube or an emulator or something like that. So I'd love to see that.
So I only have 2 other little things here on the news. A new Brain Age game was announced for the Switch in Japan only so far. And I think we're going to talk about this more. So, and a stylus comes along with it as well.
Oh, that's exciting.
Wow.
An official Nintendo stylus.
That's kind of the biggest part of that announcement, I feel like.
That's 2 official styluses for the Switch now.
That's true. And then Mario Kart Tour for the mobile came out, and a lot of people don't like it.
Like, I think with Brain Age, I think it's very interesting what they're doing with it. So like Brain Age was like a really good game back in the day. Like that we can get into like in the segment. But I think with this new one, I find it interesting that it's like so soon after the Switch Lite came out. And that's kind of what you would think would work best with a Brain Age game, like a portable handheld device you hold vertically, you know what I mean? But there's so much of the game that seems to be built into having detachable Joy-Cons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Multiplayer and stuff.
Yeah. Like you actually do use the IR camera to like hold up number of fingers that you're holding, that you're doing. And they constantly, I don't think they ever showed a Switch Lite in the trailer.
I don't think it would work very well with it.
So I find that a little strange. And also there's zero word about this coming to the US at this moment, right?
Right. And we can get into this too, but relatedly, I think didn't the first one took like a year after release in Japan to come to the West.
Is that true?
Yeah.
The title for the game is Train Your Brain, Nintendo Switch Training for Adults.
For adults.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, what's the guy's name? Is it Kawashima? Is that his name?
The professor.
Is he a real man?
The neuroscientist.
Yeah.
Dr. Yuta Kawashima.
Kawashima nailed it. What's up, baby? But yeah, I mean, I loved Brain Age. I'd love to see this come to the Switch, but yeah, it's a little strange that you'll just not be able to play some of the games if you're going to be on the Switch Lite.
I think it'll come west, but maybe it'll take a while again. Though I feel like these days that's not as often the case, but we'll see.
Right. And then as far as Mario Kart goes, have any of you guys actually played Mario Kart Tour?
I've just read lots of reviews.
Yeah, you tried it out?
Dipped into it right before this recording, and it baffled me a little bit. The intro, you have to choose between. They give you a choice of either simple steering, which is like this is for new players, just use your finger to steer, or drifting. This is for advanced players.
Right.
There's no, at least as far as I can tell. So for now, as having been 10 minutes in, there's no medium. It's like. You either are drifting all the time, or you're steering all the
time,
which is such an odd choice.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Why would they do that?
It doesn't. I mean, I guess because they want you to play it with one finger. I mean, it's like that. That's like
I want to keep it simple.
Yeah, since Mario Run, like that's been their initiative with mobile games, is games that you can play with just a finger. You know what I mean? And so. I get it, but yeah, it's very odd. I ended up doing when I was on the beta, I ended up just doing the drift mode only, and I kind of got used to it, but you can't just make little corrections.
No, it has to be all the way, yeah.
So if you're using one finger, how does the movement work? Like with the drift?
So you basically hold, you like when you push your finger to the right, your car will hop and you'll initiate a drift like immediately to the right. You know what I mean?
Which is that the opposite of how you do it on the console? I feel like because my brain kept wanting to do the opposite direction. I wanted to push to the left to make a right drift. And I was like, no, then it'll just drift me to the right. I don't know if that is.
Oh, yeah. I'm not actually, it's hard for me to disconnect that.
It felt wrong to me. I'm like, this must be opposite because every synapse in my brain is like, wrong. This is terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters when you're playing on the console, right? Like you just hit one of the shoulder buttons and you do a directional input.
Yeah,
so
but it's but the thing with the console ones, it's like you're holding the drift button while you're like constantly moving the stick left and because you can like, it's like, you start and then it's like you can make little adjustments to your drift as you go. And so you can still do that in this. Like if you do it and then hold down and continue holding down as you're doing it, you can like move the drift left and right, which is kind of cool.
And I switched to simple. And so I think if you do simple, you can do the little turns. And if you turn enough, then it autos you into a drift.
Oh, yeah.
That seems to be like what they're going for, which I'm like, I'll just do simple then. Cause I need if I want to pass somebody, if you're trying to really play it, it should have just been a one-handed mode or a two-handed mode. I don't understand why it's.
I think it'd be cool if they had like tilt controls. Yeah. I mean, I guess they technically do, but it's in portrait mode, so it feels really awkward to turn like that. And then, I know some people are pissed off that Mario is like not in the game when you start the game in Mario Kart. Like, I think you start with just Toad, and then you have to unlock all the other characters.
And there's no Luigi.
Yeah, I think Luigi is just not in the game at all.
Crazy.
Yeah, there was like a meme of like somebody forgetting to add Luigi.
There's been a lot of memes around it.
But yeah, I mean, basically, for my money, like I ended up playing the beta like quite a bit, like at the beginning, and I haven't really picked it back up since I kind of got my fill. But I once I got used to the controls, I actually found it to be pretty fun. And it's like they have tons of stages, and the game looks great. I think that if they weren't so aggressive with the microtransaction stuff and like the loot box stuff, which is really tone deaf to put really heavy loot box mechanics into a game, like this part of 2019 right now, and like everybody's very against loot boxes, it just seems very tone deaf to me. But I mean, definitely it's worth testing out. I mean, I will say that within the first day, it was downloaded 20 million times.
Wow.
Which that is a record for mobile games.
I heard the servers were crashing or whatever. Like people couldn't get it.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, just for comparison, Pokemon Go, which was like the most successful mobile game of all time, had 7 million downloads on its first day. So that's, I mean, just think about that. It's fucking crazy.
Bigger than Pokemon, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it's like they have a hit on their hands, you know, if they don't like squander it. Another thing that we should probably talk about with Mario Kart Tour before we move on is that subscription service.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's saying that's a racket, right? Like $6 or something like that.
It's $5 a month,
especially when Apple Arcade comes out the same month and you pay $5 for 100 games.
Yeah,
it's just
like full games. Yeah,
there's no way that you could justify.
Well, and also like somebody pointed out, if you for $20 a year, you can get Nintendo Switch Online.
And play Super Mario Kart on the SNES.
Or you could pay, 5 times 12, $60 a year for Mario Kart.
I get it. I mean, they're targeting people with this game that like don't own a Switch. You know what I mean?
And to that point, I think we should take a break and then we'll get into our topic, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about. The people, who are they targeting with these kinds of
We'll be back with some Blue Ocean after the break.
Nintendo consumer.
And we're back. Blue Ocean talk.
Yeah.
Blue Ocean. You want to talk about what do you mean by Blue Ocean?
Well, that was kind of the name of their strategy. It was like their Blue Ocean strategy.
There was a book written about like a business book written that coined that phrase about trying to kind of innovate and reach more people in unique and outside ways. I've not read it and I don't know a ton about it, but that's what the origin of that term is.
Yeah, it's about like capturing like a wide swath of demographics, right? Rather than just your niche
techniques and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not a blue lake or blue creek. It's a blue ocean.
No, think about how many customers would fill a lake. It would overflow. You need an ocean.
Not enough. I need more customers.
Just imagine a bunch of customers' bodies just filling an empty lake, and it's too much.
So I think what spurred us on to talk about this topic of sort of Blue Ocean / Nintendo's outreach to casual gamers is there's been a few recent announcements, including the things we were just talking about, the new Brain Age game and all the mobile games like the Mario Kart Tour and all that, and then Ring Fit Adventure. It seems like Nintendo is really trying to court a general non-gamer, broader audience with all this to get them all on the Switch train. And or just the Nintendo train with the mobile games, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we're just going to talk about, what the past of that, what they've done successfully, like, do we think this will be a success? Like, does this upset hardcore gamers, quote unquote? Will these games actually sell Switches? These are some of the topics we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. So I think one thing I'd say, when we talk about a casual general audience or like versus a hardcore gamer, what do you guys think of? People that just aren't interested in video games at all, or just, you know what I mean? Like, what is the distinction there? It's, do anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they have an inkling of interest. It's like they're familiar with Halo. They know Mario.
Watch your tongue, what you're about to say next.
But they don't play it themselves in their free time, they're waiting for those big marquee titles, the things like the Mario Kart Tour, which apparently is super popular, the Wii Fit, Red Dead 2. I consider even Red Dead 2 a casual game almost, just because of the mass appeal that it has.
It's kind of funny. My one of my bosses, he's not a boss of mine anymore. He's retired, but like he got really into chess online, and he went into Best Buy and was like, I'm really into chess online, and I want to stop playing that and do something else. Do you have any recommendations? And they sold him Red Dead 2.
What?
Which and then he played it, and he's not like a gamer.
That is too fucking funny.
So your point is actually, I have anecdotal
I think that
evidence
says more about that Best Buy employee than it does about the appeal of Red Dead.
What does he think of Red Dead?
He played it for a while. I think it took him for like one of my other coworkers, and I was like, I had to like walk him through, like setting up his PlayStation and like
twin
all
stick
this
controls
kind of stuff, because
like
he's like super confused by like just starting it. You know what I mean? But eventually he got it going. So I don't know.
For me, when I think of casual gaming audiences, I think of A, smartphone users, and B, people that refer to gaming systems as Nintendos. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, like when your mom is like, oh, stop playing your Nintendo, or you know what I mean, or like basically, how like
you're like, it's a PSP.
Yeah, it's a PSP, mom, or like people who like refer to fucking tissues as Kleenex. You know what I mean? It's like that same kind of idea, but it's like, so I think Nintendo, like at the very beginning, I think like when the NES was first coming out, they were trying to capture that casual audience. It wasn't like Japan, right, where it was like they're clearly like focusing on a computer, like a family computer, the Famicom, right? Like that's what they named it, right?
Right.
The Nintendo Entertainment System is called the Entertainment System because they weren't trying to market it as a gaming system. They were trying to market it as a toy. I mean, they even designed it to look like a VCR. You know what I mean?
Some of that was, as I understand it, because the crash of gaming consoles, right? And so like they were trying to find a way to, like, nobody wanted to sell gaming consoles anymore because they weren't selling, so they wanted to sell it as a toy, right?
Right. And that's why Rob the Robot was patched in. That was an early day one patch back in the NES days, but that's why he was packed in with the system. And then after the NES took off and was a huge hit, all of a sudden they had a bunch of quote unquote hardcore gamers now that were like expecting gaming experiences with the Super Nintendo. That was a much more gaming, hardcore gamer centric system.
And so was
N64 was
N64
the same way.
GameCube.
And
GameCube was too. And I think that they started to see a gradual decline starting with the N64 and then definitely with the GameCube.
They did.
Where it was like all these other competitors are coming in with their hardcore shit. It's more mature. A lot of the kids that were growing up with NES are now old enough to get their own shit, and they want the more adult stuff. And then it was really with the Wii that like the casual market really became a goal for them again.
Well, what about the D? Because the DS, that's the first one I remember when people started having, again, Brain Age, and the 10 Dogs was huge at the time. Sure. Everybody had a copy of that. And that got in a lot of people just playing with their dog, and that's all they wanted to do. There's no game attached, just pet this dog.
Little side note about Nintendogs. When I was in high school, my girlfriend at the time was interested in that game, and she was like, David, when are you going to get Nintendogs? And I was like, what? She was like, Nintendogs. And I was like, I think you mean Nintendogs. So she was like, oh, that makes sense.
When I think of casual gaming or the market, my mind goes to how much time a person thinks about video game. Like, I think about video games a lot.
Really?
Yeah, imagine that. I'm a host of a Nintendo podcast. But, like, I subscribe to it on Reddit. I read Kotaku, Engadget, gadget blogs.
You host a podcast.
Exactly. All of those things. And I think of the casual gamers that I know might play games like Roller Toaster Tycoon.
Well, we shouldn't say that.
No. Roller Coaster Tycoon, or any other like
Sims type
Sims.
The Sims was a big one.
Huge.
Myst was big back in the day. It's like pretty much anybody. I mean, people would buy CD-ROM drives just to play Myst. There are occasionally touchstone titles like that.
Yeah.
That will kind of cross into the casual market.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. And I would say, like Red Dead is one of those for today,
Yeah.
maybe. You know what I mean?
For a certain level of casual gamer.
Right.
You have to understand Z-axis and Y-axis.
Like to a certain extent, Goose Game is kind of getting to that.
Yeah,
No, definitely.
Untitled Goose Game.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It seems like it's really exploding on Twitter and just random people. Yeah.
Yeah. Like big Instagram influencers are like talking about Untitled Goose Game. Like,
Yeah.
It's pretty big. But yeah, you're totally right.
So what do you think, like, some of the hallmarks?
Thank you.
What are some of the hallmarks of more casual games? Like, why, you know what I mean? Like, why do those games appeal to everybody? Is it just what's in the zeitgeist? They're big, like Untitled Goose Game?
The time it takes from a person to seeing the game to playing the game, when that is shortened, I think that's what's really important.
Sure. Or like ease of understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any kind of beginner to competent, if that time is decreased, that makes a really good casual game.
Sure.
So like Wii Bowling, I can watch someone play. I already know how to play.
Yeah, and everyone knows how to bowl already, right? And so you're just doing the motions that you do while bowling.
Zero tutorials required.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think maybe the first casual game that Nintendo ever had, or the first thing where they were like, oh, this is a hit across demographics, is probably Tetris for the original Game Boy,
a good call.
right? And I think that was actually something that was that was planned. You know what I mean? I think Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the Game Boy, like wanted to make the Game Boy because he saw like a businessman on the train like fiddling with his calculator out of boredom. You know what I mean? And he was like, oh, if this dude in a suit will like look at a screen on the train, like I'm sure we could like make something for him. And then, there was a few people there that were like, hey, we've got the killer app for that, and it's Tetris. And that's another game where it's like you see it being played for 5 seconds and you know how that game works.
Yeah, you know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I think we kind of started to talk about this and we veered away, but I think like we talked about, the DS and the Wii were sort of Nintendo's first, or not first because you just point out Tetris, but sort of major hits for a more broad casual audience.
Kind of like dedicated systems for a broader audience.
Yeah, and the Wii especially. And I remember reading stories about people talking about, some people would go into Target or GameStop or whatever and be like, I need that Brain Age game. And they'd be like, okay, do you have a DS? And they're like, no, I don't need that. I just need the game or something. They like didn't understand how
I just
it
want to
works.
insert the cartridge into my ear and play it in my brain.
Yeah, I know you're trying to upsell me here on some.
You want Brain Age? Just get Red Dead 2.
Here's a game you might like called chess.
So like, and then that was successful, right? Like the Wii and the DS, or even all the iterations of it, are Nintendo's most successful consoles. So,
Yeah, when I was in the inpatient rehab place and I was getting over my surgery recently, I was like, I got really bored just staying in my room all the time, so I would like wheel around the fucking compound and just like look in weird drawers and shit and try to find stuff I could hack into. And they had a Wii and a balance board and Wii Fit and Wii Sports and all that kind of stuff. I think like they basically figured out something that old people and people with like disabilities or people trying to like become more fit or like rehabilitate their bodies like could use and play and like gamify recovery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like,
it was truly universal. Like I would volunteer at like a preschool, and you'd see it there too. It'd just be everywhere that they needed to entertain a group of people. You're gonna find a Wii.
That's true.
yeah, I have an ex-girlfriend who still, the Wii is her Netflix machine.
She
like to
still
this
plays
day.
it,
really?
Yeah.
She still plays Nintendogs.
I don't, not that one.
Nintendo.
I've dated more than one girl in the past. Okay. And none of them give a shit about Nintendo.
I think before we go into more details about casual games, maybe we can just name a few that are games that are definitely not casual games.
Okay.
The first thing that comes to mind is like Astral Chain.
I'm going to go with like Shin Megami Tensei.
I feel like Assassin's Creed. Like I remember, like I hadn't played video games in a while, and I went to my cousin's house when they were out of town, like watching their house, and I was like, I'll fire up this GameCube or whatever it was, and like Assassin's Creed, and it had a giant tutorial, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Right.
You know what I mean? But now I think I could handle it. But when I was like on a video game break, it was breaking my brain.
It's just funny. Like I feel like Assassin's Creed almost like crosses a little bit more boundaries than you
That's
would
in
think.
that blockbuster
That
territory.
might be too. That might be true. It was just me in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't work for me.
I think like history buffs like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
Because they get to like walk around these old cities.
like Civilization or
Yeah,
something
yes.
too. Like, it's another good casual game.
what's
Potentially.
what's one more game that is not casual?
Fire Emblem was hard for me to get into. I
yeah.
consider myself hardcore, and I was like, I don't
think
know what I'm doing.
That is
here.
not a
role-playing
casual game.
games? Yeah, like the old like Baldur's Gate and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Maybe.
Xenoblade.
Oh my gosh, Xenoblade.
Yeah.
Let's list 250 games that aren't casual.
Well, also before we get to the Switch, which I want to talk about, David, you kind of shared this article, and I think I'd kind of read some about this in the past, but the Quality of Life Initiative. We should talk about that because this kind of relates. And I think we were talking about Iwata earlier, and I think some of this was his.
Oh yeah.
His plan back in sort of the Wii U wasn't doing well, and they around. I think this was around, or maybe this was pre Wii U. I don't remember the exact timeline.
This was like during the Wii U.
Right.
They just lost tons of money during the year of Luigi.
Right. That's true. It was the year of Luigi. Who knows why they failed? No, but I think basically the Wii was this like unprecedented, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they were not prepared for the hit that the Wii was, right? And all of a sudden it reached this broad audience and they were like, oh shit, this Wii Sports thing is really taking off. People bought Wii just for Wii Sports. I feel like a lot of the old casual gamers that were like buying this thing got a Wii and Wii Sports and never bought another game, right?
I think
and that
Wii
was
Sports is one of the top selling games of all time.
Yeah,
I think maybe Minecraft or something is, but Wii
I think
Sports
it is the
might
best
be
selling
number
game of all
one,
time,
depending on
yeah.
how you count things.
Right. And basically when they thought that wasn't lightning in a bottle and that like the Wii brand would usurp all things. And so when they came out with the Wii U, they were like, okay, cool. This is the next iteration. We're going to keep that casual crowd and like move on with it. And that, Nintendo Land was like a game that shipped with the Wii U. It was a very similar kind of style of mini game sort of thing. There was a Wii Sports Resort. There was a sequel for that as well. But the Wii U just did not do well. I think that there was mass market confusion when it came to the Wii U. People thought it was an add-on for the Wii. They were like, I don't need this.
Yeah,
they didn't realize it was its own console.
Yeah, or like an upgrade,
Yeah. Dumb name.
like at 32X or a Sega CD or something.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw how those went. Those
not
didn't
good.
do very well in the market either.
Well, it's because like everybody knows cares that Xbox 360 is different than Xbox, but you have these audience of people that aren't paying attention on the Wii that are just like Wii U.
Yeah, if it was
I
called Xbox U, nobody would have bought that shit either.
Yeah.
It's just a terrible name.
We know that the Xbox 360 is different than the Xbox because it's a bigger number.
Yeah. You know why they call it the Xbox 360? Because when you see it, you turn 360 degrees and walk away. Anyway, that's an old meme, but it checks out. Basically, the Wii U was starting to flounder, and it was very clear very early on that the Wii U was not going to be a hit, right? And they had just had this great success with the casual market, especially with stuff like Wii Fit, which really that sold fucking boatloads of shit. And like, I brought my, for really no reason, I brought my balance board
for
here
inspiration.
today. And so they already had this like peripheral, but nobody was really buying the Wii U system. So basically, Iwata, in kind of a moment of panic, cut his own pay, his salary down by like 60% or something like that. Yeah, very cool. In order to save money and in order, the Japanese are very much about like honor in the business realm, right? And especially Iwata is just a good dude. And so like he kind of led a bunch of other executives to cut their pay. And I think really the quality of life initiative was a way for them to satiate like shareholders, right? It was them being like, hey, we know what worked for the casual market with the Wii. That was Wii Sports, Wii Fit, all this active stuff. So we're going to be starting our quality of life initiative, which is basically not even needing a console, but it was like wearable tech was starting to become a big thing at the time, and kind of smartwatches were about to be a thing.
Mobile games and stuff.
Exactly.
And they had that
fitness
leapfrog
trackers.
slide.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where they're like, we're not even going to do that. We're going to go straight to just non-wearable.
Exactly.
Like fitness trackers.
Yeah. Their whole thing is promoting healthier, more fit lifestyles, which probably had something to do as well with his declining health.
Fair enough.
At the time he had like lymph node cancer and was like trying to be as healthy as he possibly could. He stuck it out to the very end. And so I think that like it was definitely a way for them to be like, hey, we're not just putting all our money into the Wii U basket. We're also trying to kind of grab that blue ocean strategy, right? And they had all these things planned and nothing ever really happened from it. I think it was really a way for them to satiate the shareholders.
Yeah, and it's from a business perspective as well. You're trying to diversify your portfolio and hopefully capture more of a specific market.
Right.
So if you're making console games or portable games or games as a service, then you also want to get some of the fitness or wearables market.
One of the things they were talking about that never came to fruition was a sleep tracker, which we're actually starting to see with Pokemon Sleep. Like the Pokemon company is doing that now, which is kind of interesting. And they actually, I think, officially closed down their quality of life department last year or something like that. But nothing had been coming out of it the whole time. But it's interesting that they've now shut it down and we're starting to see this kind of return to the casual market again, right?
Yeah, because what have they done on the Switch that was that? I can think of like 1-2 Switch felt like an attempt to try and
I think those
recapture
mini
that.
games are another casual thing. Like I didn't think about that when we were talking about it. And fitness boxing, but that didn't seem to get promoted that much.
And I don't think that was developed by Nintendo. I think they just published it. Yeah. So that was them kind of dipping their toe into the pool. But we're only just now in the Switch's life starting to see a return to it.
And we're seeing a lot of it right now. Or two big things, potentially, though, is this Ring Fit Adventure and the Brain Age announcement. And I think just for time's sake, we should kind of focus on those. So Ring Fit Adventure, like, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that one of my questions is, do you think the RPG elements of it are going to cross that bridge of hardcore gamers being interested in it? Or is that going to make people more reticent to play it that are more casual? You know what I mean?
On the side of the more hardcore identifying gamer, that got me, like, it hooked me when I saw those enemy designs and their base. There's like an enemy that looks like it's a pug and a barbell mixed together, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna buy this.
There's like a kettlebell like thing. The characters the enemies remind me of like Dragon Quest enemies. You know what I mean? And so I think that's an interesting question, Patrick, because I don't know. I think that it's easier to sell someone on Wii Fit than it is to sell sell a casual market on Wii Fit than it is to sell a casual market on the RPG thing.
Because I know that like Game Explain and some other people have had a chance recently to have hands-on with this. And they've been saying that the RPG stuff is just great and it really motivates you. But I wonder if that would scare people off that aren't more into gaming traditionally.
I think Nintendo's really good at doing that stuff in a really simple way. And so that's what they're going to do, is just have those elements, but in a way that you almost probably don't even have to like interact with them much. It just kind of fills bars. You get money. You go to the store in a way so that people that are those casual gamers are going to be able to dive in. And then it also has an element when we were watching the overview trailer earlier where think has the just strict exercise element for those people too.
Right, if you want to just do that.
It takes place in like the exercise studio, like calling back to Wii Fit, because
right, yeah, with like the mirrors, on the
with the
walls
mirrors
and stuff, yeah.
Because that was the stuff when when Wii Fit came out, I was like a kid, and I was like, this is for adults, and this is lame. I don't need to exercise. I'm going to live forever. I got a gym class. Like literally, the only people that would use it were my friends' parents, and so that just like I was like, no, then this is nothing. And the tech itself was this big blocky board, and I think everything they're doing with Wii Fit Adventure is right. Like from the peripheral, looks more fun, like more. You can use it in a lot of different ways. To the name, just adding adventure into it, I think and having Fit too.
I think that it would probably do them some favors though to have some marketing that is just pushing that aspect of it. If they're trying to capture the casual market again, you know what I mean? Because I think like most people aren't even going to realize that it's like an exercise thing. I think with like the character design on the box, like it talking about it being an adventure, I think they'll just think it's a game, or like a Labo thing. You know what I mean?
They need to get those 2 announcers back out there.
Oh, fuck that.
I don't know. When I talk about Ring Fit, I feel like one of those people. I think I get that same smile.
You're like an evangelical, like Ring Fit Adventure guy.
And it's too early to talk about Brain Age because we've only seen Japanese trailers and stuff in Japanese. But do you think that will have the same success if they're able? Like, do you think that these games will?
Can we go back to
you got more on Ring Fit?
Yeah. I think I have one concern, and is that's the layers of friction between me playing Ring Fit Adventure and then passing it off to someone else. And what I mean by that is like taking off the strapping it on to someone else's leg who's playing for the first time, putting in the Joy-Cons. Yeah,
giving someone a ring con with like sweaty hand grips.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like the Wii was so successful because all you had to do is hand a Wiimote.
And jump off the balance board.
Yeah, jump off the balance board. And so the layers of friction are less. But with Ring Fit Adventure, it's great if you're like an individual or maybe a family. Sometimes the marketing feels like a party game. And
that's how they've been marketing it.
But it doesn't
seem that easy.
It doesn't seem that easy. Maybe there are the mini games that are party influenced. Maybe it's like a competition based on high score. I'm a little skeptical on that and what that might mean.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, Wii Fit was a similarly solo experience at the same time, though. You know what I mean? It was like a game where it's like it's not like 2 people holding a controller, but it's like you pass a controller back and forth between people. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely what they're trying to do with this.
Yeah.
It's more about like look at your friends doing stupid shit. It's kind of the social aspect of this game. You know what I mean?
And we won't know if it's a hit with that casual crowd until it comes out because they're not going to be talking about this on forums or anything. Like there's literally no way to know until it's out if this is.
I do think that word of mouth is going to be the biggest selling factor for the casual market for this game, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think like I'm not like it sold me. Like I'm way into it. I mean, I'll fucking buy anything that has Nintendo on the package. But it's like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to sell this to like my mom.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know if she's going to want to play this.
And we didn't talk about this, but I think Labo was another failed attempt at maybe reaching the casual market,
especially for kids.
Yeah, like reaching that sort of families, kids market. Well, real quick then, this Brain Age, do you think if Brain Age comes west, which I think it has to, do you think that's going to, repeat the success of Brain Age on the DS? Or do you think these 2 things in tandem will sell Switches? Like, to more, like, will really sell more Switches? Or do you, I guess we can't know, but I'm just curious if anybody has any strong feelings about that. Or is it just don't know, wait and see?
I doubt it. I don't feel like these are the magic of the Wii. The fact that took off like it did, I don't think they're going to be able to recapture it. And I don't really know if they're even necessarily trying to. Like it's popular enough that I think they're putting this stuff out there just to satisfy that fan base and satisfy the family of the fan base or whatever it is.
It can't take that much to develop a Brain Age game.
Do you think it's the fact that Wii Sports was like a pack-in game then? Like that really made the Wii so
I totally
popular?
think that if Ring Fit Adventure is bundled during the holiday seasons, then we could see increased sales and that Ring Fit Adventure could push those systems. I don't know why I said it like that.
Because you're like a drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Brain Age, if that was bundled in,
Yeah, or like to your point, if that had been a Switch Lite bundle, like if they had made it work well with the Switch Lite.
I think that would sell Switch Lites like fucking hotcakes. I think, like you said, somebody been like, can I get this thing? And they're like, yeah, it comes with the cheaper version of the system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That just makes sense to me. So it's a little odd. But, I mean, Brain Age was massively popular. Like it was really popular, and it makes sense. It's like, it's not marketed as a game. It's marketed as a tool. Now, the effectiveness of that tool for actually like training your brain is questionable as far as all studies have been concerned, where Brain Age is concerned, that it all that you get trained to do is to be really good at Brain Age for the most part. But I mean, there are like online kind of gamified like brain training things that took off after Brain Age.
Luminosity.
You know what I mean? Like what were you saying?
Luminosity.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one,
all the
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really popular. So I think
educational games is another big casual
like Mario is
thing.
missing.
Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts? Because we should get on to what we've been playing this week. Do you any final thoughts about like casual games in general and Nintendo's approach to it, the future of it?
I have this idea of this memory of what I think the peak of casual games. When my friends Liz and Chris got married for their first dance, they played Just Dance on the Wii.
Yeah.
Like in front of everyone.
Just Dance that's something we haven't talked about, but that is very, very popular.
Oh, it's so big. It's huge.
That ex-girlfriend I was talking about who uses her Wii as a Netflix machine also plays Just Dance. I think she got Just Dance 2019 on the Wii. You know what I mean? It's like those games are still very popular. And if they can start they should just stop releasing these games for the Wii, because like they could sell people new systems just to play the new songs. You know what I mean?
Nintendo needs to pair up with Ubisoft on that one.
Yeah.
Dance games are,
that's true.
Or rhythm games in general.
But not everyone can do it. Xbox tried Connect. They had Connect Dance. They had they had Connect Sports or whatever it was, and that failed as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
I think the difference there is that like that system, like, for the most part, is trying to be a hardcore gaming system. You know what I mean? And those extra things seem like kind of afterthoughts. It's like, I wouldn't buy an Xbox and a Kinect just for those things, because there's very limited experiences that I could have in terms of casual experiences like that for that sort of system, like where the Wii was overflowing with it, right?
They were cool though, because you didn't have to hold anything, and I liked that.
I mean, that's eliminating all friction, you know, we were talking about earlier, but it didn't take off.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think that Nintendo is back in the public sphere as far as like basically like before the Switch came out, I was like, give it a couple years, like everybody's going to own a Switch eventually. You know what I mean? Like, and I still think that is going to happen. I think like everyone had a DS, right? Which is why Brain Age did so well. Also it was like a new way to use it. You turned it on its side. It was kind of like an ebook reader or whatever. You know what I mean? It kind of like felt not like a gaming system when you were playing that game. And it seems like they're trying to do the same thing. I think you play this game pretty much vertically, right? So like, I do think that if they're going to do it, now is the time, and I think that's good. I really think though, in order for them to get people back on, they need to make a new Wii Sports game.
Yeah, it's weird.
I really think that if they put out a Wii Sports game, people would fucking start buying this thing just like they bought the Wii.
Just Wii Sports 2. That's it. That's
or Mi Sports. Just call it Mi Sports.
Yeah,
you know
Switch
what I mean?
Sports. Who cares?
And then that would be fun too, because then you could be like, I'm going out to play Mi Sports. You know what I mean? Like you're a pirate. Anyway, I think I do think, and the one thing we didn't talk about in this topic here, and I know we're kind of running out of time, you got to go, but is I don't think that they're as worried about capturing. I think that if they even did a fraction of what they did with the Wii now, it wouldn't really matter, because they're all in the mobile space. And that's where the casual market really is.
Right.
You know, they just did 20 million copies of Mario Kart Tour in a day. You know, that number has got to be way bigger since then, right? And even if only a small fraction of those people do the subscription service or buy in-game items with real money or whatever, that's still going to be a massive amount of profit for them.
If they spend $1.
Yeah, if they spend $1. Yeah, if 1 million of those people spend $1, you know, that's $1 million. But it doesn't actually sound like that much. But
that's $1 million you have today that you didn't have yesterday.
Exactly. And that's something that doesn't cost them anything. They don't have to fucking manufacture a Pilates
ring
circle, you know what I mean? And they don't have to like do all this kind of stuff. So it's like, I think that anything that they do is going to be better than like, even if it's not as good as the Wii, it doesn't matter because like we're in a new world now. Like cell phones weren't around whenever Brain Age came out for the first time. You know what I mean? Or at least smartphones as they are now weren't around.
And something that made me think about this too, like the mobile game, just having their brand visibility out there and opening theme parks and selling plushies. Like I think Mario is such an iconic character and all the related characters are becoming that's a big potential money maker for them too, right? Just like kids wanting a Mario toy or whatever, like that don't even play games.
You're right. I think Nintendo is finally a brand and not just a box.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's what Iwata was trying to do with the Quality of Life Initiative in the first place. And so if this does even anything, even if it's like a little drop in the bucket, I think it's going to be worth it for them. I just hope it takes off because I think it's cool. And I think we could all probably use a little bit more exercise.
Agreed.
Well, on that note, I think that was great talk. We should move on to what games we've been playing this week. Does anybody
Hold on, wait. Let's play the song. And we're back.
Yeah, welcome back. Can I tell you what I've been playing?
Absolutely.
I finished Link's Awakening.
Congratulations.
Oh, nice.
So good.
I haven't beaten that yet.
So pleasant, so joyful, and just so good.
How's that Windfish though?
The song?
I mean, the guy.
The last?
Like the big whale. How is he?
Oh, he's chill, dude.
Does he look good?
Yeah.
I haven't
He's
gotten that
beautiful.
far, so I want to see how cute he is.
Yeah, he's so
He
chill.
looks amazing.
Yeah. Also, still been playing Untitled Goose Game, beating some of those objectives and just like having fun with that game and just loving all of the memes that have popped up and all of the new merch for Untitled Goose Game that's popped up on Etsy.
Oh, tell me about some of that.
Like just some of the stickers, which are like I'm a goose, raise hell. And it's just like the goose with the knife in its mouth.
I saw the shirt that said "No Gods, No Masters," which looked really nice.
That one's so good. It's a threadless shirt.
Yeah, that's a threadless shirt. That's
Yeah,
really nice.
it's just like the goose stomping on signs that have like "No goose here," and just like setting it on fire. So good.
That's really nice.
That's what I've been playing.
What about you, Patrick?
I beat Mario Odyssey for the second time with
Hell
my
yeah.
kid this weekend.
Nice.
Did you do Darker Side?
No, we just beat the main game, and I was like, we beat it.
And so that, like with like the pop song at the end with the lyrics. and all
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly.
The Sonic Adventure song at the end. Yeah.
And then we beat that, and then we beat Captain Toad because we were just a few courses away from beating that, and I was like, let's beat 2 games this weekend. And I beat Red Strings Club, so this was a big finishing week for me.
Yeah, good.
And I picked up my copy of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 where I was today, actually, because I was
Tell
like,
me
I want to
more.
get back to this. I'm 5 hours in, and I picked it up, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? How do I control this game? What is
Yeah.
happening?
I hear you're still pretty much in the tutorial, like 20 something hours.
Yeah,
into
I'm
that.
still
very true.
very early in the game, and I'm now having to relearn everything about it, so I might have to talk to you about it after.
Yeah, it took me like 20 hours to understand the battle system and like the element-based battle system.
And imagine if you'd taken a 6-month break in the middle of that.
We'll talk later.
As far as Red String Club is concerned, did
Yeah.
you end up liking that game? Because I know
don't
you were kind of middling
yeah,
on it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting game. I think it's cool. It's almost talking about like free will. I don't know. I don't want to ruin the game by like, but it's kind of an interesting. It's like an interesting experiment. I don't know that I loved the experience, but it was kind of a cool story / setting.
Right.
I don't really want to replay it.
Right.
Because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, that's what I kind of landed. I think if it's on sale steep enough, and then the themes of that appeal to you of cyberpunk, identity, free will, corporations versus people, that kind of stuff.
This is
Then pick it
exactly
up.
like the game I think about. I want to play it.
It's a dialogue-driven game, so you're making choices of dialogue basically, and then there's a
Right.
couple of weird other mechanics.
So it's like Dream Daddy, but cyberpunk.
Yeah, with some other like mixing drinks.
So it's like the KFC dating simulator, but cyberpunk.
Right.
We're on the money here, I
Yeah.
think.
David.
Yeah, me. Okay, my turn. I've been playing a lot of games that I own already for the most part. Our buddy Jordan Willis, who was on the episode last week, he actually came by. He had an extra Link's Awakening amiibo, so he came over and sold me that. I'm now the proud owner of a Link's Awakening amiibo.
Wow.
And we played some like Lethal League Blades, we played some Windjammers, we played some Neo Turf Masters. Had a really nice time just kind of playing some games and being bros. In addition to that, I started playing a little bit of my friend's copy of Jedi Outcast. The port. I didn't want to buy it yet because I play with Y-axis inverted and that's still not in the game. But I wanted to try it out just to see kind of how the motion controls work. And I will say the motion controls work fucking fantastically. Like I kind of almost didn't even notice that I noticed that that the stick was not the right orientation for me. But like, the aiming felt really, really good with the motion controls. And I know a lot of people have been complaining about the aiming. So if you are like a Splatoon player, I think you'll pick that up right away. And it felt really good. And I'm looking forward to actually purchasing that game for myself whenever they do patch that in. But other than that, I was kind of cleaning out my bedroom the other day and I was like finding some stuff under my bed and I thought that I had lost my 3DS, but I found it under my bed. So I've actually been playing my 3DS again recently and, I have WarioWare Gold. And so I've been playing a lot of WarioWare Gold recently. I don't know if you guys ever played that game.
No.
But it's like the definitive WarioWare experience, I think. My favorite WarioWare game was WarioWare Twisted for the Game Boy Advance, which I don't know if you guys any of you ever play that game?
Probably.
That game was so good. It's
the one with the wrestling mini game?
I think so. Yeah. It was the cartridge would stick out of the top of your Game Boy Advance and it had a accelerometer in it. And so the game you played entirely by turning it left and right like a steering wheel, basically. So all the little mini games would be like twist centric. And that game was so fun. And it's still the only way that you can play that game. It's never been ported because you can't, it's hard to put that on a system that you don't twist around. You know what I mean? I guess they could port that game to cell phones, which I hope they would someday. But WarioWare Gold has a lot of the twist mini games in it because the 3DS does have an accelerometer in it. So I've been just really enjoying that. I'm probably going to be playing some 3DS games in the coming week. And just kind of getting back into that world. It's very nostalgic. It's weird how recently the 3DS came out and I'm already nostalgic for it. But yeah, 3DS is a great system. I hope to be playing more of it. What about you, JP?
JP.
Link's Awakening, of course, just beat that finally. It took me a while. I'd heard all this, talk online about how it's so short and they're charging $60 for it. That's ridiculous. But it took me a little bit because some of those puzzle solutions are a bit obscure.
Yeah,
knowing where you have to go. I don't know if the phone man is in the original. I never played the original.
Yeah, he is in the original.
Okay, well he is. Yeah, he's crucial.
For sure.
Yeah. So I loved that. It was great. And then I'm like halfway through Goose. Just got to the pub. Trying to find out how to drop a glass in the goddamn river without fucking barman coming after me. But yeah, those are kind of the two I'm plugging in, and I'm just getting ready for Ring Fit Adventure and Luigi's Mansion, man. October's going to be a big month.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big month.
That's crazy. We were watching the trailer before Patrick showed up today, and it was like, I didn't realize that game's coming out in like 2 weeks. Yeah. It's really close.
Closing out with Luigi. So it's, I'm so stoked for Luigi.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you play a lot of Luigi's Mansion when you were younger?
I did not play the first one, but I borrowed a friend's 3DS to play through the second one.
Right.
Then I played through the first one because I love that so much. Mm-hmm. And now I'm just seeing, it looks amazing and the variety of the different themes they're going for. Oh, it's going to be so good, you guys.
Nice.
I'm psyched about that one too. Cool.
I want to rewind a little bit because I was looking up the post, but you mentioned people were upset that Link's Awakening was so short, and there was someone that posted in Goose Headz. It's Goose Headz now.
Formerly known as Switch Headz.
Edward Chalupa said, how are people hating on the length of the game?
Yeah.
And we just had a cool discussion for me is how you rate the quality of a game is not necessarily length, but some people do that, and I guess that's okay. Not for me, but it's all about how much enjoyment do you get for the time that you spend on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was saying it's why are people hating on Link's Awakening when it's the exact same length as what was it? Last
of Us.
Right? Yeah, it's like a similarly short game, and I feel like they don't have similar themes, but they're both similarly thematic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so yeah, it's an interesting thing, like the value of a game. But I'm on my 4th dungeon in Link's Awakening right now, and I've been playing it for a while, and I already feel like I've got my money's worth.
I think that's an interesting discussion we could have, because I have some thoughts on it, but we're at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I don't want to derail.
This is where we start a new topic.
We should do an episode on that.
Yeah, we might should. I like that idea.
Yeah, so shout out to Edward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
But the awesome work, everybody. Thanks, JP, for being on the show.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
you were a
This
great
is a
guest.
blast.
Did you have a good time?
I had a blast. Yeah, this is amazing.
That's so fun.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks to Cody for doing the music.
Cody Corduroy, that's right. Maybe if you've been enjoying the music at the beginning and end of this podcast, not the songs in between, those are from Pilot Wings, but the song at the beginning and end of this podcast, Cody's going to be our guest next week.
Yeah, we're talking about music.
Corduroy himself is going to be on here talking about video game music next week. I'm very, very pumped.
We're going to talk nothing but Chrono Cross soundtrack.
Yeah, dude, we could do a whole fucking episode on the Chrono Cross soundtrack.
God, it's so
Seriously.
good.
No, I want to do something kind of cool with the next episode. We'll talk after we record, but yeah, be sure to check that out next week. Where can we find all of us
You can
online?
find me on Twitter, Matthew, MATHYOU.
I'm PDYX.
You can find me online at Monolith Fiji. What about you, JP?
Hold on, it's pulling up. You can find me on Twitter at Joe_Bremer, 1M. Maybe I'll tweet one of these days. We'll see.
I didn't know your name was Joe.
That's what the J stands for.
I thought you were just born JP.
No. I had to change it up. It's too boring.
Wow, learning something every
I
day.
love the gamble of maybe you'll tweet.
Yeah. So I thought if anything, it was Jeremiah.
Joseph Paul. Just the 2 most boring names.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you want to find Switch Headz online, you can visit us at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Facebook and Instagram.
Or goose heads for a little while.
Right. Yeah. If you want to join our group, which I really recommend you do, because that's where all the juicy memes are and all the breaking news, find us at Switch Headz or at Goose Heads. Either way, you'll find us in 28 days. We'll no longer be Goose Heads because the meme will be long since dead by then. But we love you guys so much. Yeah, be sure to tune in next week. If you're a big fan of gaming OSTs, you're really going to want to listen next week. It's going to be a very special episode. I'm really pumped about that one. Other than that, we love you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.